Well, on today's very first episode of the Luck of the Draw podcast, we join my co-founder and good friend, former Chicago Cub, Kyle, the Big Bad Wolf Farnsworth. Really looking forward to this episode as it's not only our first, and of course, as we're just starting off, we're going to continue to grow and improve as a podcast like we always look to do as a TV show. But this is a great way to interact with all our viewers, answer questions, learn more about who we are as individuals, as family members, and outdoorsmen. So we're really excited to bring this to you and excited to be able to spend some time with Kyle. Today is December the 7th, and get to know a little bit about how he got into hunting and how Luck of the Draw came to be. So stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. Hey everybody, this is Zach here with Luck of the Draw, and welcome to our very first Luck of the Draw podcast. Very excited about this because we've been waiting a long time to get things going, and we're waiting for the right opportunities and just finally decided, jump in, let's go ahead and get it going. Humble beginnings, but you know what? There's some great things to come. And speaking of great things, I have the co-founder of Luck of the Draw and a friend of mine, Kyle, the Big Bad Wolf Farnsworth. That's an unofficial title, but still, I think it works. So, Kyle, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. Thank you for having me on. And again, thank you for all your outdoors men and outdoors women for support the show and everything. We appreciate everything, the fans and all you guys do for us to this point. Again, we're starting at the very bottom and trying to get up there and just enjoy this, this ride along with you guys, and this experience is, and to share our life hunts and stuff like that, and just everyday life. Just excited to get this going.
Yeah, no, definitely, and we're glad to have you on. I know you're super busy. If I remember correctly, in the middle of a move or kind of starting that process, so we really appreciate having you. And I thought, what better way to kind of tip the cap and get things rolling than with the two of us who were kind of the brainchildren for this operation. And definitely glad to have you. And yeah, definitely thank you to everybody who's taken time to support us in any way, shape, or form, from our sponsors all the way to just the fans that have been able to support us, because without that, as you know, being a former ball player, I mean, that's what makes it what we are. And I think personally what makes us different than the juries and stuff like that. I mean, I think we're definitely relatable. We don't hunt hundreds and hundreds of acres or places that are inaccessible to the everyday hunter. We're hunting state land, we're hunting, knocking on doors and getting permission. So I definitely, once again, would echo what Kyle said and say thank you all for your support over the past few years. And we're definitely looking to keep growing as a TV show, but now as a podcast, and hopefully have some great guests on. I was saying earlier, definitely having guys from the team, some DNR maybe would be cool to talk about some of the things that they're doing and how we kind of work together as a show with them. Obviously, because we've got you and Tim and Heath being baseball guys, hopefully having maybe a couple baseball guests, and just see where this goes. I think it's going to be fun either way. And if not, people get to hear us ramble for a half an hour. So
that's what everybody likes to hear. A lot of rambling, but yeah, again, I'm looking forward to it as well. I have maybe some surprise ideas and guests as well on my end that I think everybody would be pretty cool to see who they are and stuff like that. And one more thing, the reason why I have Pittsburgh on is because it's Thursday night football. Troy Polamalu is the man, and I played up in Pittsburgh, so I decided just to try to be funny. Because we're normal dudes, it's like, and I'm like, we got to add the women in now these days too. So we're just all normal hunters out there. We're just trying to do the same thing as everybody else out there. We're not professional, no means like that. We go out there and bust our butt and, trying to find these deer. And it's enjoyable. We film our hunts and we self-film, and we got our cameraman and all that good stuff. So I'm just trying to share our experiences, and hopefully, everybody learns something from us, and, we can learn stuff from them as well.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, something where hopefully we can instill some life lessons and encourage people, that the guys who were on Waypoint TV, the Outdoor Channel, all those places, they all started somewhere. And if that's a dream or an ambition, or really any dream or ambition in general, that they should strive for it. It may seem out of reach, but if you would have told me luck of the draw would be where it's at in just 4 years, I wouldn't have believed you. And I'm confident and excited to see where this is going to go. And actually, to that point, kind of brings us to our first topic for tonight, which is how luck of the draw came to be. So when I first moved to Michigan, I had moved from Northwest Ohio up here, just getting acclimated to the area. And actually, once again, baseball ties into hunting. I was playing a slow pitch because we're not all Kyle Farnsworth.
I played it too.
Yeah, it's fun, man. And
it's a lot of fun.
I was in a tournament and went out to lunch with one of the guys, and he had told me what he was doing with starting his own hunting show. And we ended up teaming up for a little bit, and ended up with my film background. Obviously, at the time, I wasn't a college graduate with a film degree. It was just a passion of mine. I had done it back in high school, and got approached by another hunting, I don't know if I would call them a show, but a hunting group, right? And they said, we want to hire you to edit our films. And so worked with them for about a year. And in that year's time, only edited about one episode. And I had all these different ideas for educational things that I could teach people, different things to help people with their hunting. And so I just decided to start my own thing. And about that time, I can't quite remember how I got hooked up with Darren Bradley of IMB Outfitters, but ended up getting hooked up with him somehow, and was working with him on coming down to, is it Macon or Macomb, Missouri? I never get it right. Macon, okay. And, I told him about my vision and what I was looking to do, and he said, hey, I know a guy. He's got the footage, but he doesn't have the video skills. Let me give him a call. Didn't mention anything else. And a few days go by, and then he gives me a call and says, hey, that guy I was telling you about is interested. Don't freak out. He's a former ball player. And I'm like, well, who could that be? He goes, it's Kyle Farnsworth. And I'm like, holy crap. I just kind of put the phone away from my head for a minute and was like, freaking Kyle Farnsworth. Like, I remember him playing for the Cubs, like growing up. I mean, and I don't mean to date your brother. I can see it.
Exactly. See, this was coming in about when I was 27 years old. That's when I got to year it out. Look what baseball does to you. I guess that's what the kids do to you, make you go bald, right?
Seriously, I got gray hairs and everything. And so he said, yeah, he's interested. I gave Kyle your number. Just try and play it cool, which I was like, I'm going to do my best. And Kyle, you've known me for quite a while now, and you know how I get around other, you and baseball guys. I love baseball.
Man, boy.
Yeah, it's bad. I love baseball. And it's cool. But, a couple weeks went by.
Just to go back to as a baseball player, we couldn't do it without fans like you. It's just like with the show and stuff like that. So you have to be humble where you come from and respect everybody, just be nice to everybody as well and just respect people.
Yeah, no, and I could see that. For those of you who don't know, we'll have a new episode coming out soon. Today's December 7th. It should be by the end of the month, part 1 of my trip to Cedar Rapids, Iowa with the Rise to Greatness Foundation, where Kyle and Tim were guest athletes. It was a wonderful event. But, to see how you interacted with the fans, and I had mentioned to you once before, there were guys that were waiting literally the entire day to get a chance to have you guys sign something. And then when we went down the tunnel, people, reaching out, Mr. Farnsworth, just to see you take the time as a fan and as a man and a father, these kids and people look up to you guys, and it definitely made me glad to have you as a partner for the show. And definitely what sports and what we do as an outdoor show is about. We're just trying to, like you said, be humble and, never feel too big for your britches, right?
Knocked off that mountain real quick.
That's right. So a couple of weeks went by after Darren passed my number along to you. And I remember it just like it was yesterday. I was getting ready to sit down on the couch and I get this text and I look down and it's like, "Hey, Zach, this is Kyle Farnsworth." I'm like freaking out. Like, I can't believe it. He finally texted me. This is actually, a possibility. And so then I calmed myself down. I'm like, right, put the business face on, right? I gotta get him to see what I'm trying to build. And, long story short, you saw the potential and, here we are 4 years later and you've stuck with me ever since. And, I'm sure it wasn't as exciting for you being on the other side. Like, I don't know who this guy is, just a guy that makes videos. But, it's been a fun ride so far and really looking forward to 2024 as to what we can do as a show.
We haven't even scratched the surface yet of what we've been able to do. So, I'm definitely looking forward to it and just excited to, just like anybody else would.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who may be wondering why we're doing our first podcast as a Zoom session instead of as an in-person session, that's a pretty simple answer. I live in Western Michigan, and Kyle, as of right now, I think still lives in Florida, correct? So, budget-wise, I don't get down to Florida very often. Maybe next year. I keep trying to convince my wife to get me down there to hunt some gators. My brother lives down in Orlando. So been talking to some outfitters on pricing there. But
I know enough people we're going to go get some probably gators and hogs, so you're good.
Hey, I'm game. And if we can get it cheaper, that just means we can do more stuff next year. So I'm all for it. Hunting is one of those universal things that goes beyond geography as far as what state and honestly, sometimes even countries, right? It doesn't matter what color you are, how much money you make, your socioeconomic class, all those things. It's you and practice and being in the outdoors, even if it is just state land, to pursue what God has put on this earth for us to provide for our families. And, obviously it's always my hope that if somebody's hunting, they're eating the meat or donating the meat. But it's a wonderful sport that brings people together, that also gives you some exercise. And, that kind of brings us to our second and last topic for the day, is how we got into hunting in the first place. I've been hunting since I was about 16 or 17. Kyle, how long have you been hunting for?
I mean, really hunting probably since I was probably 13, but my dad took me the first time, I think when I was around 8.
Sure. And I know we're working on, obviously it's been a problematic situation dealing with getting things converted, but hopefully we'll be able to see next year an awesome throwback hunt with you and your dad. So I'm definitely looking forward to working on that and resurrecting that. I had the privilege of doing the episode with you and Stone, which is your son. So if I can bring it full generation, I think it'll be really cool. So why don't you tell us about, how you got into hunting? You mentioned your dad and maybe, your first hunt with him, or maybe your first hunt alone, or first harvest. Any of those would be great.
From basically where I started. So we lived in Georgia, grew up there, and I think I was probably around eight or so. And my dad's brother, my uncle, he lived out in California in the Fresno area. He was California Highway Patrol and everything. He was hunted and everything. So that's really the only place that my dad would eventually took me. It was the first time out there. So we flew out there. I just remember getting in the back of my uncle's truck. My dad was up front and he had all the camping gear because we had to go out and stay land out there too. And up in the mountains, not sure which mountains are in the Fresno area. I don't remember. But, so we drove up there, we're camping out of the tent, we got fireplace, we're backwoods and then we're in the middle of nowhere. And, we're probably there, I don't know, I'll probably easily 4 or 5 days out there, waking up, scouting around and wandering the trails, looking for, I think we shot, I think they believe it shot a blacktail. But yeah, so we were out there hunting those. But I remember, it was my first time really around guns and all that stuff. And I think my uncle, he gave me a little BB gun. And so I'm out there, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the best thing ever. I'm out here with my uncle, my dad in the woods, or shooting guns, chasing animals. And I got a BB gun. I thought I was the coolest kid in the world. So I'm target practicing around camp, shooting little targets and stuff. And, I hate to say this, I feel bad now when I look back on them, but there were lizards everywhere. So unfortunately, I started learning how to target practice on lizards. And, I'm shooting this first time, shooting a gun, and I can only close my right eye. Back then, I didn't know, I was like, well, I can't, I'm right-handed, but I close my right eye and I can't. So obviously I'm left eye dominant, but I didn't realize then, but I'm right-handed. So I'm trying to do this number. So I close this eye, line up with my other eye. And when I figured it out, I'm hitting everything. I'm like, okay, this works pretty good. But I shoot guns left-handed now, but right-handed. But so I'm just go around shooting BB gun. And I remember this one afternoon, we go off on the trail looking for, deer and stuff. And seems like forever we're walking because we're just a little kid, probably wasn't that far, but, we were on this one ridge top and we overlook, and my uncle and my dad, they see a herd, probably 10 or 12 deer. And like, oh, there's one in there. And they're shooting across the canyon. And to me, it looks like 700-800 yards. I'm like, how are they going to hit these things? Sure enough, they drop one, and we have to go down the big old gully, go back up the hill. Then we finally found the deer. And again, this is the first time I've been hunting, first time I've ever seen anything, been harvested or anything like that. And when they started field dressing the deer, my dad said I turned green and almost threw up. And I took off up the hill. It was the grossest thing in the world. I remember feeling so sick. But then my dad said a couple of minutes later, I come back down and I start playing in the blood and stuff. So I lost the sickness really quick. But, again, that's just a memory of, being with my uncle and my dad for the first time and being able to see, it was just being able to experience that and just to see that kind of how, to field dress a deer and to be able to provide, you had to meet and provide for your family and stuff like that, it's the circle of life. And so we get it all dressed out and everything. So we had to find a big old stick, so we tied up, and my uncle and my dad, they're killing the deer like cavemen on the stick and stuff. And, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is cool. We're going along, and on the way back to camp, this is where the story gets crazy. So, of course, we're patrolman, and we're walking along, and we see, I have no idea what's going on. We see these black pipes running down the hill, and my uncle sees some chicken wire, and I don't know what's going on. And then he's like, all right, hold on a second. So we get the deer down, go down to the chicken wire, and it ends up being a marijuana field. and I was like, and I didn't know what it was. And all of a sudden, my uncle, my dad, they started ripping the plants out and started throwing them. And I look back at now, these days, I'm like, okay, that was someone's money right there. What if they showed up while that was going on? That would not have been good. Right. So there's another crazy memory of hunting and just other stuff. But then we get back to camp, and that was the end of the trip. And I think we stayed there 1 or 2 more nights. But that's how I got started into it. I wouldn't change it in the world. Enjoyed every minute of it. I mean, sometimes I can't even remember what I did yesterday, but I still remember that when I was 8 years old. Maybe some people might say just because it's such a tragic thing that I saw an animal being, field dressed out, but maybe so. But I was able to deal with that and still love hunting. Some people, I remember my brother, he saw that for the first time too, and he actually told me that after that he didn't want to go hunting anymore because hunting is not for everybody, and I understand that, and definitely don't want to push it upon anybody or anything like that. But that's what this makes two people different. And as of now, I'm the only one who really hunts in my family anymore. My dad is too old to, my two older brothers don't, and my sisters don't. So and I'm glad to be able to pass that along, and took my son, and all that good stuff. So it's be able to pass it on from generation and generation, and just teach those skills of hunting and tracking the deer, field dressing the deer, taking care of it and being grateful for it and everything like that comes along with being an outdoorsman and a hunter. And to be able to, conservation is also what we are, just be able to do all that stuff in the woods and just be out there and just give back and, just be an outdoorsman. And that's what I think of it as in general. And, I'm very happy and glad that I'm still able to do it and still enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny, the similarities in some respects to how you got into it versus how I got into it. And like you said, passing along generationally. And it's funny hearing, your response to seeing them getting field dressed. I think that's great because obviously, as you know, my daughter's eye hunts. I took my oldest son out for the first time this year. Just to get him acclimated and try and get him used to it. My daughter, she was in the woods with me at 3 years old, just sitting in the blind, being out in the woods with dad. And it's been really cool to see how she's very hands-on with, the field dressing. She doesn't shy away from it or get grossed out. She's all about it. She's always wanting to go with dad. And, it's time for us as parents, and even when you were a kid to look back and instill life lessons and, just create that bond with your kid. And, I think that's something that only hunting can do. Sure, you can bond over other things, but, just being alone, being together. And obviously there are challenges to that being a parent because you're out there and you're serious and you're focused and your kid's over there fidgeting and, rattling a candy wrapper or something. I think it helps.
Yeah, that's what, as parents, that's what we have to understand. We have to make that experience enjoyable for them and not for us, or they won't ever do it again. Because I remember the first couple times I took Stone and Hunter, other stepson, they were little, and sometimes I would get mad. I was like, Kyle, it's not about you. It's about them being with you, enjoying that experience. And if we see something cool, if not, big deal. But it's about being in the outdoors with them and having that experience, because you don't want them to not like it. Oh, I just made a noise, I can't do it anymore. And then they don't want to do it and stuff like that. So yeah, you have to make it, the best thing, if you get a blind, I'm sure you already know, get a blind and give them a little toy with some headphones on, just let them go to town on the little game and set.
At this point, I'm a pro with it. I still have, my lessons as dad to learn where, like you said, it's if you see something great. But I asked my daughter, I said, what is it that you like about hunting? And the only and first answer she said was, I like spending time with you. And I'm sure my son and my oldest daughter and my youngest son would say the same thing. It's all just about being with dad and finding a mutual interest, even if they don't, kill anything, just to be together. Away from mom, away from the other siblings, and just have that one-on-one time. But, when I think of my first experience hunting, my dad wasn't a hunter and to this day still really isn't an outdoorsman. So it was my uncle who got me started, and I was probably in my high school years. We would go to archery shoots. He was really involved with the local Fish and Game. So Fridays, he'd pick me up from school. We would go set up. Saturday, we'd spend the entire day at the Fish and Game. We'd go shoot and kind of refine my archery skills as a compound bow hunter. And then, get free lunch out of the deal because you're helping set up and tear down. So as a kid, just it's perfect, And he finally thought I was ready to get out in the woods by myself. And to this day, he's still very, you need to be accurate. You need to be studied with your weapon. And he let me go out, and I had hunted some other spots. He owned about a 5-acre plot of property in Defiance, Ohio. And there was his spot, and his spot was what you always see on TV, right? It's like right on a field edge, overlooking beans or corn, right coming into the woods. And in Ohio, you can have food piles and stuff like that. And it was his golden goose. And so finally I convinced him to let me go sit on his blind or his tree stand. And it was my first time it was a 20-foot single man tree stand. And, I'm up there and the tree's leaning back and forth, and it's right about dusk, and he's hunting at another property. So we're both hunting just different spots. And these does come in. It was 2 or 3 big does. And I remember, I don't know if you get this way, but I've always been this way. Even now, after hunting for all these years, I just get so excited, right? Because we go through stages as hunters where you don't see deer. That's been my luck the past couple of seasons. I mean, I'm out religiously. You just have bad luck being in the right place at the right time. And so these does come in, they start grazing on the apples. I start getting up and I'm like this, you know what I mean? I draw back and I'm right on her, a 30-yard shot with my compound, and I shoot her and she runs off. And I'm shaking. I'm like, oh my God. And it's that last hour or two of right daylight. It's the prime spot for hunting, right? I flip my phone out and I call my uncle, and I'm, Uncle Ted, I think I just shot a deer. And he goes, you think you shot a deer? What do you mean? And I'm used to, at that point, I never shot a live animal. So I was used to it sticking in the target, right? You can see the arrow, so on and so forth. I'm like, well, it looked like a good shot. I can't see, I didn't see it stick in her. I don't know where my arrow is. He goes, okay, stay put. I'll come to you. So he waits till dark, comes to me. We check the ground. We find the arrow. It's covered in blood. He goes, you hit her. It looks like a good shot, right? We had good blood. Followed the trail, and she wasn't more than 60 or 70 yards, and was one of the biggest does I've ever shot, which, to this day, obviously, I've gotten better at recognizing when you hit a deer, and it's even more fun when you can shoot one on camera, because then you can go back and kind of analyze the shot and stuff. But, it cracks me up being my first hunt. I think I shot a deer. Trust me, at this point, I know that you would know if you missed. But, like you said before, it's those memories with family. I mean, family is the resonating thing here, is your uncle, your dad, or kids. And that's what I hope that people see with Luck of the Draw, is that we are all families individually, but we are a team, a family team. And hopefully other people get encouraged by what we're building. And, who knows, maybe they want to get a camera and start doing it themselves to have memories to pass on for their kids' first hunt, It's just awesome to see it come full circle like that.
What you were talking about when you got all nervous and stuff, and I think it goes with anything. Even when I was playing baseball, just the fact of I'll just do more. Once you start losing that excitement, when you get ready to pull that bow back and you see that deer coming, or you lose that excitement. Okay, I got to go to the field today, but that it's time to stop. And until that happens, I would hope everybody continues to go out there and hunt. But once you lose that, that's tough to ever get back, I think. But yeah, once you just keep on, because there's been times for hunting, it's like sometimes I just bored. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I'm sure people have gone through cycles and stuff like that where okay, this is what am I doing? And, I still enjoy being out there, but really once you start getting those shakes, you still get those shakes. That's you still have it. So it's good to have those things, and just be out there and just enjoy it.
Yeah. And I tell you what, those hunts where you can bring the kids along and see that same feeling in your kid. I know you're the pilot trying to just keep them calm and make sure that the gun's right and everything's, as good as you can make it, right? Like, then it just comes all back again. So, I haven't had a lot of luck this year with shooting any bucks, but, the properties I have here in Michigan haven't been kind to me the past couple of seasons. And it becomes a testament of, do you have the resolve to keep going? Because when you sit there for hours, and I don't know about you, but I may be a thicker guy for lack of better terms, but I get cold really easy. So to sit out there in the cold and watch squirrels just tick you off, it's like, I don't know why I'm even hunting right now. So, shooting, what's that?
I said, not seeing deer makes it colder.
Yeah.
Everything worse. That's for sure.
And it can be discouraging. And, I shot that doe this year. I got the majority of that on film. That'll be out probably later this year or early, 2024. But, and shooting that ram down there in Athens, I mean, it really hits home that, like, this is why we do what we do. It can be cumbersome to bring all the camera equipment and to take the time to, do your interviews and have all that stuff. But at the end of the day, when you get that kill and you get that kill on camera, and you can look back on it and share your joy and excitement and encourage other people, and that's what it's all about.
Just be able to do it, and then on another level, doing it, just film and hunt on your own, self-filming, that's what I really enjoy too. I know we'll get on that topic another time, but to be able to do that and get everything together, and then when it doesn't happen, that's even worse. You forget to turn the camera on and crap like that, So I've been on both sides of it. So, but yeah, it definitely adds a little bit more into it. Like you're saying, with the camera equipment, the camera arms, and extra batteries. When it gets too cold, you got to put on cards. You got to do all this stuff, and while you're still trying to look for deer, be ready for that. So, it's definitely good to have a cameraman. But yeah, when you don't, when you're doing it on your own, it's that extra degree of difficulty for sure.
Definitely. Well, thank you for taking some time out of your evening to hang with me. Any chance I can hang out with you is always fun, even if it is digital. We just kind of click when we're talking, so it's always fun. And to all of those who take some time to watch this episode, we really appreciate it. We're definitely going to have a lot flowing out monthly, definitely sponsor reviews. And we definitely want to take a minute to thank you all again as viewers and friends and family and followers who have supported us these past few years. And thank you to our sponsors, Vortex Optics, Artesian Wells, John Neese with Double Play Hunting Preserve down there in Athens, and of course, Dan DeWitt with Old Indian Tricks. If by chance you happen to be a small business owner or an outdoor company, we're looking for sponsors. So we would love to collaborate with you and find a way that we can work together to grow each other. So definitely check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or I guess it's X now. I don't know. I'm 32.
X, whatever it is.
I'm 32, but I feel like I'm 75 with keeping up on this stuff. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe and check us out on Waypoint TV, which we are on demand there. And then on Gen 7 Outdoors, and who knows where we'll be next year, but I'm hoping at least we'll be on those two platforms again, and hopefully pushing towards some of the bigger networks as well. So Kyle, thank you again, my brother. I'll let you go watch your football game. Who are you rooting for tonight?
The Steelers.
Well,
got to, since I paid for the Pirates for a month, but it was a lot of fun. So here we go, Steelers.
I would say go Pittsburgh, but you know where I stand. I'm a lifelong Cubs fan, so that's like spit and blasphemy.
At least it's NL Central.
Yeah.
So you can at least go for that.
Well, have a good night, my friend, and soak up some of that nice weather down there for me if you would. It's like 30 degrees here, and I'm freezing all the time. So
about 50 here right now. It's cold for us Floridians.
Oh. All right.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Thanks, man.
All right, man. Have a good night. We'll talk soon.
Bye, you too.
See ya.
Bye.